There comes a moment in life when you become tired of pretending, tired of smiling when your soul feels empty inside, tired of trying to fit into places that slowly destroy your peace. Many people spend their whole lives listening to the voices of others, but very few ever stop to hear their own inner voice. Carl Jung once said that the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. And that journey begins with the way you speak to yourself. Most people do not realize that their inner conversation shapes their reality. The words you repeat inside your mind become the walls of your future. If you constantly tell yourself you are weak, lost, or unworthy, your life begins to reflect it. But if you learn to speak to yourself with awareness, honesty, and courage, everything changes. Not overnight, but deeply and permanently. This video is not about fake positivity. It is about awakening the hidden power already living inside you. And by the end of this video, you may never speak to yourself the same way again. Have you ever noticed how quiet your mind becomes late at night? When the world is asleep and distractions disappear. That is usually when the truth starts speaking. The truth you avoid during busy days. The truth hidden beneath social media, noise, and endless activity. Deep inside, you already know what is hurting you. You already know which habits are destroying your spirit. You already know which people drain your energy. But many people silence themselves because facing truth feels uncomfortable. Carl Jung believed that avoiding your inner darkness only gives it more power. He called this hidden side the shadow. And the shadow grows stronger every time you ignore your real feelings. Transformation begins the moment you stop running from yourself. The moment you sit alone and honestly say, "I need to change." That single sentence can become the beginning of a new life. Most people wait for someone else to save them. They wait for motivation. They wait for the perfect opportunity. They wait for life to become easier. But awakening happens when you stop waiting. It begins when you realize that nobody is coming to rescue you. And strangely, that realization is not depressing. It is freeing. Because if nobody is coming to save you, then you finally understand your own power. You stop depending on outside validation. You stop living for applause. You stop shaping your identity around the opinions of strangers. Instead, you begin listening to your deeper self. The self that has been quietly guiding you all along. And that is where true transformation begins. The first way to speak to yourself differently is this. Stop saying, "Why is this happening to me?" And start saying, "What is this teaching me?" That single shift changes your entire mindset. Pain is not always punishment. Sometimes pain is preparation. Sometimes rejection is protection. Sometimes endings are necessary for rebirth. Life often removes people and situations that no longer match who you are becoming. But when you resist every difficult moment, you block your own growth. Carl Jung believed that suffering has meaning. Not meaningless suffering, but suffering that reveals hidden truths. Every challenge forces you to discover parts of yourself you never knew existed. Strength is not created in comfort. It is created when you continue walking through darkness without losing yourself. Speak to yourself with patience during hard seasons. Do not insult yourself for being tired. Do not call yourself weak because you are struggling. Even nature rests before it blooms again. Trees lose their leaves before spring returns. The moon disappears before becoming full again. Your life also moves in seasons. Some seasons are for growth. Some are for healing. Some are for learning painful lessons. But every season has purpose. Many people destroy themselves with harsh inner criticism. They become their own worst enemy. But healing begins when your inner voice becomes calmer and wiser. Instead of saying, "I will never change," say, "I am learning." That small change creates emotional freedom. Another powerful thing to tell yourself is this: I do not need to be perfect to deserve peace. So many people suffer because they are chasing impossible perfection. They compare themselves to everyone around them. They feel behind in life. They feel like failures because their journey looks different. But comparison disconnects you from your own path. The truth is that everyone is fighting hidden battles. Even the people who seem successful. Even the people who appear confident. Nobody fully escapes pain, fear, or uncertainty. Carl Jung understood that wholeness is more important than perfection. Wholeness means accepting both your strengths and weaknesses. It means becoming real instead of pretending to be flawless. And real people experience true peace. Start speaking to yourself like someone you deeply care about. Imagine talking to yourself the way a wise mentor would speak. Not with lies. Not with empty praise. But with honesty and compassion. When you fail, do not say, "I am useless." Instead say, "I made a mistake, but I can grow from this." When you feel lost, do not say, "My life is over." Say, "This confusion may be guiding me towards something greater." Your words shape your emotional world. The mind listens carefully to what you repeat every day. And over time, those words become beliefs. Beliefs become actions. Actions become habits. And habits slowly become your destiny. There is another truth most people avoid. You cannot transform your life while constantly betraying yourself. Every time you ignore your intuition, you weaken your spirit. Every time you tolerate disrespect, you teach yourself that your feelings do not matter. Every time you stay silent when your soul wants to speak, you lose connection with yourself. That is why inner transformation requires courage. Sometimes courage means walking away. Sometimes courage means saying no. Sometimes courage means being alone for a while. Not because you hate people, but because you finally value your peace. Many people fear loneliness. But Jung believed that solitude is necessary for self-discovery. You cannot hear your true voice while constantly surrounded by noise. Spend time alone without distractions. Sit with your thoughts. Observe your emotions without judgment. Pay attention to the patterns in your life. Notice what repeatedly hurts you. Notice what repeatedly drains your energy. Notice which environments make your spirit feel heavy. Your life is always communicating with you. But many people are too distracted to listen. Awakening begins when you become conscious. Conscious of your habits. Conscious of your emotional wounds. Conscious of the masks you wear to gain acceptance. And once you become aware, you can finally begin changing. Awareness is the first step toward freedom. One of the most powerful conversations you can have with yourself is this: I refuse to abandon myself anymore. Think about how many times you ignored your own needs just to please others. How many times you stayed in unhealthy situations because you feared being disliked. How many times you dimmed your light to make others comfortable. That constant self-betrayal slowly destroys inner peace. But healing starts when you choose yourself again. Not selfishly, but truthfully. You stop apologizing for protecting your energy. You stop feeling guilty for setting boundaries. You stop explaining your worth to people who refuse to see it. And the moment you stop abandoning yourself, your confidence begins returning. Because self-respect is the foundation of inner transformation. Without it, no amount of success will bring peace. Many people think awakening is dramatic. They imagine some sudden spiritual moment. But often, awakening happens quietly. It happens when you stop reacting to every insult. It happens when you stop chasing people who do not value you. It happens when you begin protecting your mind from negativity. Small changes create powerful transformations. The way you wake up in the morning matters. The way you think during difficult moments matters. The way you speak to yourself after failure matters. Your daily inner dialogue is shaping your future more than you realize. A peaceful mind creates wiser decisions. Wiser decisions create a better life. And a better life begins with self-awareness. Not luck. Not perfection. Awareness. Tell yourself this every day. I am responsible for the energy I bring into my life. That means you stop feeding your mind with constant negativity. You stop surrounding yourself with people who enjoy chaos. You stop giving your attention to things that weaken your spirit. Your attention is powerful. Whatever you focus on grows stronger inside you. If you constantly focus on fear, fear expands. If you constantly focus on resentment, bitterness grows. But if you focus on healing, wisdom begins growing inside you. This does not mean ignoring reality. It means becoming intentional about what you allow into your inner world. Your mind is like a garden. And your thoughts are seeds. Protect them carefully. Carl Jung believed that many people wear masks their entire lives. Masks created to gain approval. Masks created to avoid rejection. Masks created to hide insecurity. But the longer you wear a false identity, the more disconnected you become from yourself. That is why so many people feel empty even when they appear successful. Because deep inside, they know they are performing instead of living authentically. Transformation begins when you remove the mask. When you stop pretending to be someone you are not. When you stop forcing yourself into roles that suffocate your spirit. Your real self may not please everyone. But your real self will finally feel free. And freedom is more valuable than temporary approval. A peaceful soul is worth more than popularity. Never forget that. There is a sentence that can completely transform your inner world. And that sentence is this: I accept myself while still growing. Many people think self-acceptance means giving up. But true acceptance creates growth. Because when you stop hating yourself, you finally have energy to heal. Self-hatred only creates more pain. Growth becomes easier when it comes from understanding instead of shame. You are allowed to improve yourself without constantly attacking yourself. You are allowed to evolve without feeling worthless. And you are allowed to rest without calling yourself lazy. Speak to yourself with wisdom. Your soul has already survived so much. Give yourself credit for continuing forward. Even on the days nobody noticed your struggle. The truth is that your life changes when your inner voice changes. Because your outer world often reflects your inner condition. A fearful mind creates fearful decisions. An angry mind creates destructive behavior. But a conscious mind creates clarity. This is why self-awareness is so powerful. It changes the way you see everything. You begin understanding people differently. You begin understanding yourself differently. You stop taking every rejection personally. You stop needing constant validation. You stop chasing things that do not truly matter. And slowly your life becomes more peaceful. Not because life became perfect, but because you became more conscious. Before this video ends, remember this deeply. The relationship you have with yourself shapes every part of your life. Your relationships, your confidence, your choices, your peace of mind. Everything begins inside. If your inner voice constantly attacks you, your spirit becomes exhausted. But when your inner voice becomes wise, calm, and honest, your life begins changing naturally. Transformation does not happen through pretending. It happens through awareness. It happens through truth. And it happens when you stop running from yourself. Because the person you are searching for has been inside you all along. So from this day forward, speak to yourself differently. Speak to yourself with awareness instead of cruelty. Speak to yourself with courage instead of fear. Speak to yourself like someone whose life truly matters. Because it does. You are not here to spend your life asleep. You are here to awaken, to grow, to understand yourself deeply, and to become who you were always meant to be. That journey may feel difficult at times, but it is also the most meaningful journey you will ever take. And every honest conversation with yourself brings you closer to that truth. Never underestimate the power of your inner voice. It can either imprison you or set you free. If this message spoke to your soul, take a moment to reflect on your own inner dialogue. What have you been telling yourself lately? Has your inner voice been helping you grow or keeping you trapped? Real transformation begins with honest self-awareness. And sometimes one new thought can completely change the direction of your life. Do not ignore the quiet truths inside you anymore. Listen carefully to your spirit. Your life may already be trying to guide you towards something greater. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, share, and subscribe for more deep and life-changing content. And in the comments below, tell us one thing you realized about yourself or about other people while listening to this video. Your insight may help someone else awaken too. Remember, healing begins the moment you become conscious. Growth begins the moment you become honest. And your new life begins the moment you start speaking to yourself with wisdom.